If you have taken a brush calligraphy course before, whether it's from Sunday's Dawn or from elsewhere, and you always find yourself having difficulty in consistently practicing, this resource is for you. When I created this 31 days practice workbook, my heart's intent is really for you to be able to have a resource that you can go back to on a daily basis to write one word a day and build a habit of writing, and also to give yourself that 5 to 10 minutes of calm, really to be able to write for yourself. I can't wait to get you started on building your muscle memory, building consistency, and building calm through repetition. Let's get started on this, shall we? So here we do have our brush pen calligraphy 31 days practice workbook. When I created this practice workbook, the heart's desire was really because so many of my own courses, students, participants from my Zoom workshops and all that, after taking a course from me, they say, Serene, I can't practice, I don't know what to practice. And it seems so hard. And so, that got me thinking, what kind of a resource should I, create so that they will be able to come back to writing consistently? So I came up with this practice workbook where I've designed it in such a way that not only is it for you to be able to write one word a day, I intend for us to be able to use it as a journal. I truly believe in journaling, in being able to, document your emotions, your thoughts, and really to be able to reflect. And this material does cover that. And I intentionally weave in certain encouragement, certain journal prompts for you to also take time to reflect and to be present even in the time that you have given for yourself to write, right? So how do we practice? Well, we practice really by writing slowly. The very, very, very difficult thing that people always tell me when they learn calligraphy is, Serene, is so hard to slow down. You always remind me to slow down, but I find it so hard. And I would say that, we have been trained all our lives to be productive, to be efficient, to do things quickly. It also takes time, and it also takes a muscle memory to learn to slow down and be intentional in just allowing ourselves to be present with our writing, to be present in reflecting, and to just sit, with your thoughts, with your emotions. And there is this huge part of meta cognition that allows us to think about what we are thinking, that sharpens our thoughts. And that's that clarity that you gain from slowing down and from processing all that you have been. Right. So really, this is for you to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day. Repeat as needed. It's a document, a 22-page document that you print and use month after month if it is something that you can return to. All right. And really just pick up from where you left off, because consistency compounds. So we start off with basic strokes, which I will go through with you. And then there are different themes of the words that we'll be writing through the month. Day 1 to 10 is on grounding and presence. And these are the 10 days words that we will be writing. Day 11 to 20 is both an inner movement, and day 21 to 31 is on expression and integration. And I made it in such a way that it flows one to another. If you write the words on a daily basis, you will be able to notice how the word actually speaks to you. And that's my heart's desire. So from day 1 to day 10, we are going to be writing on grounding and presence. So these are the 10 words that we will be writing for today. Let's get started, shall we? Well, I've chosen the word breathe to write on the very first day because I truly want us to be able to remind ourselves to come back to breathe. This is also the very first word that I have written when I first started learning calligraphy 11 years ago. So this is truly a full circle moment. I started with learning how to write the word brief 11 years ago. And here I am 11 years later creating a resource that you can come back to. And the first word that I would love for you to write is the word grief. So with our Pentel brush sign pen, right, I want to be able to write this word by first drawing our attention and reminding us that all upstrokes are thin and all downstrokes are thick. So we will come with a thin upstroke, pressuring it down to a thick, and then it's a capital B. So we will lift our brush pen and we will continue on with a B. And also with a loop that leads on to a R. Underturn. Do you notice that when we write in brush pen calligraphy, we do lift our pens many, many times? And it is in the lifting and it is in the intentional strokes and in the mindfulness of where to pressure down for your thicks, where to come back up to your teens, that really gives calligraphy its beauty and charm. I always say that, when we do calligraphy, it is such a mindful activity. It's something that we can't rush through. It's something that truly allows us to come back to. And although the strokes look like they are connected with each other, in reality, there is a lot of pulling back, there is a lot of restraint, and there's a lot of intentionality in the writing. So this is tracing over the word grief. And you will notice that in our next line, actually in our first line, I'll get you to write the same word twice. And in the next line, I would love for you to write it on your own. Now, how does this work? Now, you will notice that tracing is so much easier, but writing on your own takes a little bit of practice. And this is the practice that we come back to month after month. All right. So when we write on our own, what I would love for us to be able to train our critical eye is really to see where the dip of the underturn is and match it so that we can obtain a similar stroke. Now, this is the critical eye that artists train themselves in, even if they want to be able to sketch or paint a still life object. And this is the same skill that we are teaching here as well, to be able to observe well, to be able to observe right, and to be able to do that onto the writing itself. All right. So notice that the main stems of the capital B are parallel to our diagonal 55-degree slant lines. Notice that we stop our strokes in the midpoint of our lower descenders space, and then we will have a thin upstroke with a loop that lands just below the top of the X height, just below the top of the X height, and then another stroke. Big loop, mini loop, and pause. Do you notice that while you are writing this, we keep having to relate to what we have traced over? Notice the slant and the bigness of our loop. Notice the slant and the bigness of our loop. Notice that our underturns are going to be parallel to our guidelines. Notice where we pause here before we go on to a E, right? And an A is made up of a oval in connection to a underturn. And T is a long underturn. Notice where it starts. It starts from the mid of the ascender space. So it starts here. And notice this ligature. It is a beautiful crossbar that leads to a loop, ascenders loop, and connecting it to a ascending loop here as well. And then a overturn, part of the overturn. And then E. Now this is how we are going to be using and writing each word. Notice that when we are doing the word brief, we do train our critical eyes by just lifting our eyes to connect and see how we do our writing on our own. And over time, this training of the critical eye will help us to wean away from writing with templates. This takes time, it takes slowing down, it takes intentionality, but trust the process. We will get to writing beautifully over time. Let's try the second word, still. Still starts with a capital S. Notice where you are pressuring down on the strokes. Notice that when we are pressuring down for the long underturn for T, underturn for I, dots. Dots are always short downstrokes, so their shapes are not perfect circles, but they are parallelograms, mini parallelograms. All right. Then a waved crossbar for T. Double L, so it's an ascending loop in combination with another ascending loop. Notice that I have a bounce at the bottom of my L, really to just give your letters a little bit of a nice, playful drop. This is that playfulness that we want to be able to achieve with modern calligraphy. All right. So writing on your own, what do we train? We train where we start. Notice where we are starting. We are starting the curvature from within the ascender space, but still above. So that is your mini loop. Notice that we touch the top. Our main stem of our S has a very big curvature. Notice where we are coming up for the S. Notice that it intersects just here, right? And then a long underturn for your T. Connect to a short underturn for I. Notice also that in underturns, the bottoms are rounded. That keeps your calligraphy elegant. For spa. Okay. Ascending loop L in connection with another ascending loop that has a big drop at the bottom. All right. So this is how we train our day after days mindful 5 to 10 minutes of writing. Can you imagine, as you go through the month, how our critical eyes will be trained? Can you imagine month after month, when you come back to the same words to trace over, you will notice how our writing would have changed. And you would also notice that over time, even without something to refer to, you will actually be able to write without templates. And that's my heart for you. That we will be able to build a habit of writing, build a habit of consistency, and truly be able to write without referring to templates and be able to write any words for ourselves and write words that will encourage yourself and others. This is the word begin. And now when I do it without tracing, it will be a capital B. Long, thick downstroke that is parallel to the guideline. A loop of the B. Lift before a second B with a big loop. or an E, oval, in connection with a underturn, I, and an N. There you have it. Day after day, month after month, I would love for you to look at each of these words and truly grow from the writing of each of these words. And each of these words have both the tracing over and then a row that you write on your own. I can't wait for you to use this resource and be able to see yourself grow and witness your own progress over time. And if you are halfway through and if you have written all the way to day 15, IGDM Sundays on and let me know. I would love to be able to celebrate your success with you. I will see you soon.